Have you ever felt that despite all your creative, unfolding efforts, the vision boards, the affirmations, the endless techniques, something fundamental was still missing? That perhaps the real secret to prosperity wasn't about doing more, but about understanding something deeper. Has this ever happened to you, where you followed all the rules of creative unfolding, but still felt disconnected from the riches and provision you desire? But before we begin, please and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Today, it's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Today, I'm going to share something that most spiritual seekers completely overlook. It's a profound insight that a wise spiritual teacher once only revealed with complete clarity in her final teachings. What makes this approach so revolutionary is that it doesn't require you to master complex visualization techniques or repeat affirmations until you're exhausted. Instead, it works through a fundamental shift in perception that changes everything. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you, especially if you've been struggling with creative unfolding for years. This isn't about adding another technique to your spiritual toolbox. It's about seeing a truth so simple yet so powerful that once it clicks, your relationship with prosperity transforms automatically. The world is full of people desperately trying to manifest riches and provision through effort, through doing and trying and hoping. But what if the missing piece wasn't about what you do, but about who you are? What if the very foundation of your creative unfolding practice has been built on a misunderstanding that's been keeping prosperity at arm's length? I remember when I first discovered this teaching, buried in a wise spiritual teacher once revealed's later work. It wasn't wrapped in complex metaphysical language or shrouded in spiritual mystery. It was direct, clear, and honestly a bit shocking in its simplicity. This wasn't information she was freely sharing in her earlier, more popular works. This was the distilled wisdom of a lifetime, spent understanding the true mechanics of creative unfolding. What's fascinating is how this approach completely bypasses the mental gymnastics most of us associate with creative unfolding work. It doesn't ask you to visualize until your scene feels real. It doesn't require you to script out your desires in present tense. It simply asks you to recognize something that's already true about you. Something that once seen cannot be unseen. I'm seeing people joining us today from all over the world, from Brazil to Japan, from South Africa to Canada. Wherever you're watching from, I want you to know that what we're about to explore transcends cultural differences, because it touches on something universal within all of us. The foundation of this approach rests on two simple words. Just two words that, when understood correctly, hold the power to completely transform your financial reality. But these aren't just any two words. If these timeless principles about riches and provision, creative unfolding have resonated with you, hit to join our community of conscious co-creator with the divines. These two powerful words are I exist as the most creative force in the universe that most of us use carelessly every day. But to understand their true power, we need to look at what a wise spiritual teacher once revealed in that remarkable final lecture, titled The Infinite Source and IR1. In this presentation, something shifted in her delivery. Gone were the elaborate spiritual metaphors and poetic language that characterized her earlier work. What emerged instead was a raw, unfiltered truth that some in the audience weren't prepared to hear. She spoke with such clarity and directness that the room fell completely silent, because what she was sharing wasn't just another spiritual concept. It was a revelation that challenged centuries of religious programming. "The I within you is the infinite source," she stated. Not in theory, not metaphorically, but literally, eternally. This wasn't a nice philosophical idea or a comforting spiritual notion. This was Florence stripping away all pretense and delivering the hidden truth she had discovered after decades of spiritual practice. Some people walked out of that lecture. Others sat in stunned silence. But those who truly heard her, those who felt the weight of what she was saying, experienced an immediate internal shift. Because what Florence was revealing is that the divine creative force we've been taught to worship as something separate from ourselves has always been within us. The journey of creative unfolding isn't about reaching out to some external power. It's about recognizing the co-creator with the divine that already exists at your core. This revelation completely transforms our understanding of creative unfolding. It's not about becoming worthy enough to receive prosperity. It's not about perfecting your visualization technique or finding just the right words for your affirmations. It's about a profound identity shift, recognizing that you're not speaking to the universe as a beggar. You're speaking as the universe itself. This understanding changes everything. When you truly grasp that the I within you is the infinite source, you stop approaching riches and provision as something to attain and start recognizing it as something to express from within. This isn't spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. It's a fundamental revelation about the nature of reality itself. The transformation happens in that moment of recognition, in that split second when you stop seeing yourself as separate from the creative force of the universe. And it's this recognition that makes those two words, "I exist," as so incredibly powerful. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by examining how this revelation changes the way we use language, particularly those two powerful words. Because once you understand the co-creator with the divine within, your words take on an entirely new dimension of power. If this insight is beginning to resonate with you, write in the comments, "The I within me is the infinite source." Not as an affirmation, but as a recognition of what has always been true. This profound revelation completely inverts the way most of us have been taught to think about creative unfolding and prosperity. We've been conditioned to believe that the power to create our reality exists somewhere outside of us. In the stars, in a distant deity, or in some mysterious universal force that we must somehow convince to favor us. This belief system creates a fundamental separation that blocks the very creative unfolding we seek. Think about it. How many times have you approached creative unfolding as if you were submitting a request to an external authority? "Universe, please send me more money." "The infinite source, I really need this job. Please let this opportunity work out." This mindset of separation creates an energetic barrier that few people ever transcend. The hidden truth that a wise spiritual teacher, once revealed, discovered, is that the power you've been seeking has always resided within you. It's not something you need to attain or develop. It's something you need to recognize and embody. This isn't just a mindset shift. It's a complete transformation in your relationship with reality itself. When you speak to the universe as if it were separate from you, you're unconsciously reinforcing the very separation that blocks your creative unfolding. You're positioning yourself as the petitioner rather than the co-creator with the divine. You're asking for permission to receive what already belongs to you by divine birthright. This is why so many creative, unfolding efforts fail. Not because the techniques themselves are flawed, but because they're being practiced from a fundamentally flawed premise. the premise of separation. It's like trying to receive a phone call while the phone is unplugged. The technique of answering the phone isn't the problem. The disconnection is. The journey from separation to unity isn't an intellectual one. You can't think your way into this realization. It must be felt, experienced, embodied. It's a recognition that happens beneath the level of conscious thought, in the quiet spaces between your breaths, in the stillness that lives beneath your mental chatter. This recognition changes everything about how you engage with reality. Instead of speaking to the universe, you begin speaking as the universe. Instead of asking for prosperity, you speak from prosperity. The words that leave your lips no longer carry the energy of request, but the power of declaration. And this is where most people make a critical misstep in their creative unfolding journey. They continue to use the language of separation, even after learning about unity consciousness. They intellectually understand that they are one with the creative force, but emotionally they still feel separate, small, and powerless. The breakthrough comes when your words and your identity align. When you speak not from who you think you are, but from who you truly are. And this alignment begins with those two powerful words we discussed earlier. If you're beginning to sense the magnitude of this revelation, I speak from unity, not separation. This simple acknowledgement can be the first step in a profound realignment of your creative power. Now, let's explore a fundamental principle that will revolutionize your creative unfolding practice. The world doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. This revelation completely disrupts the conventional creative unfolding formula most of us have been taught. We've been led to believe that if we want something badly enough, if we visualize it consistently enough, if we align our emotions with it perfectly enough, then the universe will eventually deliver it to us. But this approach keeps us perpetually in a state of wanting, of reaching, of desiring. And ironically, this very state of wanting reinforces the absence of what we desire. It anchors us in lack rather than fullness. This is the hidden sabotage within most creative unfolding practices. The breakthrough comes when you realize that true creative unfolding isn't about what you want, but about who you claim yourself to be. It's about the identity you embody and express through your words, thoughts, and actions. This is why people who seem to effortlessly manifest prosperity aren't necessarily the ones with the most sophisticated, creative unfolding techniques. They're the ones who have fully embraced an abundant identity. To this channel, if you're ready to move beyond surface-level creative unfolding techniques and discover the deeper truths that a wise spiritual teacher once revealed. Every video here is designed to reconnect you with your innate creative power. At the core of this identity-based creative unfolding approach are those two transformative words. I exist as a wise spiritual teacher. Once revealed something profound when she said, I exist as is the name of the infinite source. This wasn't a poetic metaphor or a nice spiritual saying. It was a direct revelation about the creative power of these two words. When you say, I exist as, you're not just making a casual statement about yourself. You're invoking the creative power of the universe that resides within you. You're speaking from the center of creation itself. And whatever follows those two words doesn't just describe your current circumstances, it defines and directs the entire trajectory of your life. Think about how carelessly we use these words in daily conversation. I exist as broke. I exist as struggling. I exist as unlucky with money. Each of these statements isn't just describing a temporary condition. It's programming your subconscious mind and sending a creative command to the universe. It's establishing the energetic blueprint from which your reality will be constructed. This is why the mindful use of I exist as statements represents one of the most powerful transformations on your prosperity journey. It's not about denying your current circumstances or engaging in toxic positivity. It's about consciously choosing the identity from which you speak and live. The question then becomes, what are you attaching to I exist as in your daily thoughts and speech? Are you attaching limitations or possibilities, scarcity or prosperity, struggle or flow? Your answer to this question reveals the foundation from which you're attempting to manifest this identity-based approach to creative unfolding works, because it aligns with how reality actually functions. Reality doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to energetic coherence. It mirrors back to you the energy and identity you consistently embody. If these insights are illuminating something for you, I exist as the source, not the seeker. This acknowledgement can begin shifting your entire relationship with creative unfolding. Now, I want to explore a crucial distinction that transforms these I exist as statements from mere positive affirmations into genuine creative acts. When most people use affirmations, they're essentially making hopeful statements about what they want to become or experience in the future. There's an inherent gap between where they are and where they want to be. And the affirmation is an attempt to bridge that gap. But what a wise spiritual teacher once revealed goes far beyond this approach. When you truly understand that the I within you is the infinite source, you realize that your I exist as statements aren't aspirational. They're declarative. You're not speaking as a hopeful human trying to improve your circumstances. You're speaking from the very center of creation, from the divine essence that creates worlds. This revelation completely shifts the energy behind your words. There's a profound difference between saying, I exist as riches and provision as a hopeful affirmation, and saying it as a recognition of your divine nature, as a co-creator with the divine. The first comes from lack, from wanting something you don't have. The second comes from fullness, from acknowledging what's already true at the core of your being. The two words I exist as aren't casual. They're literally creative. They set in motion energetic patterns that shape your experience of reality. What follows these two words doesn't just bounce around in your mind as a nice idea. It follows you into your lived experience. It becomes the blueprint from which your life is constructed. Consider the impact this understanding has on your journey toward prosperity. Every time you say I exist as broke, or I exist as struggling financially, you're not just describing your current circumstances. You're issuing a creative command to the universe. You're speaking as the co-creator with the divine, and the universe responds accordingly, continuing to manifest experiences that match this declaration. This isn't about denying your current reality or engaging in magical thinking. It's about recognizing the creative power you wield with every I exist as statement, and choosing to align those statements with the prosperity you wish to experience, rather than the limitations you've been experiencing. The mind-bending revelation here is that you're not using these statements to change your reality. You're using them to align with a reality that already exists in potential form. This is why a wise spiritual teacher once emphasized that this isn't a practice but a recognition. You're not creating something new. You're acknowledging what already is at the deepest level. This represents a quantum leap in consciousness, a fundamental paradigm shift that transforms your entire relationship with creative unfolding. Instead of trying to attract something from outside yourself, you're expressing what's already within you. This shift from attraction to expression is where the true power lies. If this deeper understanding of I exist as statements is illuminating something for you, I speak as the co-creator with the divine. This acknowledgement can begin to realign your relationship with these two powerful words. Now, let's apply this understanding to a specific declaration that can transform your financial reality. My nature is aligned with riches and provision. Notice the profound difference between this statement and the typical prosperity affirmations most people use. Most affirmations are designed to fix something, to repair a perceived lack, or to create a desired future state. I will be riches and provisiony or money flows easily to me are statements aimed at changing your circumstances. But my nature is aligned with riches and provision operates from an entirely different dimension. It's not trying to create something new. It's acknowledging a fundamental truth about your design and nature. It's recognizing that at your core, in your spiritual DNA, you are already structured for prosperity. This revelation shifts the entire foundation of your creative, unfolding practice from striving to recognizing, from becoming to being. When you declare, my nature is aligned with riches and provision, you're not saying it to convince yourself of something that isn't true. You're not saying it to overcome financial challenges. You're saying it because it's the truth of who you are, regardless of your current bank balance or financial circumstances. This is the mindset revolution that changes everything. If something in this message awakened a recognition within you, it's a simple way to acknowledge that truth has been spoken and to help these teachings reach others who are ready for them. The transformation happens not through hoping or wishing, but through anchoring yourself in this truth through clear, confident declaration. Think about the difference in energy between these two approaches. Hope lives in uncertainty. It's fragile, tentative, and easily shaken by circumstances. But anchoring in truth is solid, grounded, and unaffected by temporary conditions. This is why creative unfolding through anchoring is so much more powerful than creative unfolding through hoping. When you hope for something, you're implicitly acknowledging that you don't have it yet, that it exists somewhere outside of you, and that you're uncertain whether you'll receive it. This creates an energetic pattern of separation and lack, the very pattern you're trying to overcome. But when you anchor in the truth that you're built for riches and provision through clear declaration, you're establishing a completely different energetic foundation. You're not reaching for something outside yourself. You're grounding in what's already true at the core of your being. This creates an energetic pattern of fullness and presence, the very pattern that attracts prosperity. The hidden truth behind successful creative unfolding is that it's not about creating something from nothing. It's about aligning with what already exists in potential form. It's about shifting your perception from absence to presence, from separation to unity, from hoping to knowing. And this shift happens through the power of declaration, not as a technique, but as a recognition of truth. When you declare, my nature is aligned with riches and provision, you're not just repeating words. You're reclaiming your original design. You're remembering who you were before the world convinced you that you were small, separate, and lacking. You're returning to the truth of your divine nature as a co-creator with the divine. If this perspective on creative unfolding represents a paradigm shift for you, my nature is aligned with riches and provision. Not as an affirmation to change your circumstances, but as a recognition of who you already are. Now, let's explore the embodiment phase of this practice. The moment when this powerful declaration moves from intellectual understanding to lived experience. This is where the real transformation occurs. Not in the words themselves, but in how those words land in your body and consciousness. The pathway to embodying this truth is surprisingly simple, yet profoundly different from most creative, unfolding techniques you've likely encountered. It doesn't require you to generate intense emotions or create elaborate visualizations. Instead, it invites you into a state of relaxed presence and quiet receptivity. Begin by finding a comfortable position, whether sitting or lying down. Let your shoulders soften and release any tension you're holding in your body. Take a long, unhurried breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely, and then release it just slightly slower than you normally would. Feel the natural rhythm of your breathing begin to slow and deepen. In this relaxed state, allow the declaration, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision," to arise naturally in your awareness. Don't force it. Don't shout it internally. Just let it emerge like a gentle whisper from the depths of your being. Feel how the resonance of these words creates subtle vibrations throughout your body, not as an emotional charge, but as a quiet knowing. What makes this approach so revolutionary is that it completely bypasses the emotional roller coaster that characterizes most creative, unfolding practices. You don't need to generate feelings of excitement or prosperity. You don't need to visualize stacks of money or luxury vacations. You simply need to rest in the quiet recognition of what's already true about you. This distinction represents a paradigm shift in how we approach prosperity. Most approaches treat riches and provision as something to be pursued, chased, or attracted through intense emotional energy. But a wise spiritual teacher once revealed that riches and provision isn't something you chase. It's something you embody through stillness and recognition. The stillness is crucial here. In that quiet space between thoughts, between breaths, you access a different dimension of consciousness, one that isn't governed by your past experiences or current circumstances. In that stillness, you touch the timeless part of yourself that has never been separate from prosperity. You reconnect with your original design as a being built for riches and provision. This approach works precisely because it's not trying to manufacture an experience. It's not trying to override your current reality with positive thinking. It's simply allowing you to settle into alignment with what's already true at the deepest level of your being. The stillness becomes a gateway to that alignment. As you sit in this relaxed state, letting the words, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision," gently echo through your awareness. You're not performing a technique. You're experiencing a remembering. You're not creating a new reality. You're aligning with one that has always existed beneath the surface of your conditioned thinking. If you've always found visualization difficult or struggled to maintain positive emotions, stillness speaks louder than effort. This recognition can be the key that unlocks a completely different approach to creative unfolding. Now let's explore what a wise spiritual teacher once revealed described as the second major shift in the creative unfolding journey. The moment when you stop trying to pull something from outside yourself and start tuning into the source that has always existed within. This transformation represents a complete reversal in the direction of your creative energy. Think about how most people approach creative unfolding. They're constantly reaching outward, trying to attract or pull things toward themselves. They visualize money coming to them, opportunities finding them, prosperity flowing to them. The entire focus is on bringing something external into their experience. This outward orientation keeps them perpetually in a state of seeking, of reaching, of wanting. The breakthrough happens when you reverse this flow. When you stop trying to pull prosperity toward you and start expressing it from within you. This shift feels like a profound homecoming, a return to your natural state of being. It's like you've been searching the entire house for your glasses only to discover they were on top of your head the whole time. To facilitate this shift, here's a simple but powerful practice that anchors you in the awareness of your inner source. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed for just 5 minutes. Sit comfortably, allowing your body to relax completely. Let your shoulders drop. Release any tension in your jaw and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. As your breathing slows and deepens, bring your awareness to the center of your chest. Not as a visualization exercise, but as a gentle shift in attention. Feel the natural warmth and aliveness in this area. From this centered space, silently say within your awareness, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision." Don't force it or shout it. Internally, let it arise naturally, like a quiet knowing from the depths of your being. What makes this practice so transformative is that you're not trying to create an experience or manufacture a feeling. You're simply acknowledging what's already true at the core of your being. This is why the physical relaxation is so important. It creates the conditions for recognition rather than striving. The journey of inner awareness isn't about adding something new to your experience. It's about removing the obstacles to what's already there. As you sit in silence, breathing slowly, allowing the truth, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision" to resonate through your awareness. You're dissolving the layers of conditioning that have obscured your original nature as a being designed for prosperity. This reversal from seeking to recognizing, from reaching to allowing, from pulling to expressing, represents the hidden revolution at the heart of true creative unfolding. It's not about becoming something you're not. It's about unveiling what you've always been beneath the layers of limiting beliefs and cultural programming. If you're feeling a shift in perception, as you consider this reversal from external seeking to internal recognition, write in the comments. The source is within. This acknowledgement can be the turning point in your creative, unfolding journey. Let's explore a crucial distinction that transforms this practice from an aspirational exercise into a grounded recognition. When you say, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision," you're not reaching for something you don't have. You're not trying to convince yourself of something that feels distant or foreign to your experience. Instead, you're remembering something that has always been true about you beneath the layers of conditioning and limiting beliefs. This shift from reaching to remembering changes everything about how this declaration lands in your consciousness. Reaching has a quality of strain, of effort, of distance. It implies that what you desire is somewhere else separated from you by time or circumstance. But remembering has a quality of return, of homecoming, of recognition. It implies that what you desire has always been with you, temporarily obscured, but never truly absent. The declaration, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision," has a solid, grounded quality to it, like standing on bedrock rather than shifting sand. It's not a flimsy hope or a desperate wish. It's a recognition of your fundamental design. And this solidity is what gives the declaration its power. You're not trying to float up into some idealized future version of yourself. You're sinking down into the truth of who you've always been. Now, let's address another revolutionary aspect of Florence Scovel's teaching: the recognition that silence, not noise, is the true creative force. This completely contradicts most popular creative, unfolding approaches, which emphasize emotional intensity, excitement, and energetic vibration. Those approaches suggest that the louder you shout your desires to the universe, the more likely you are to be heard. But Florence discovered something far more subtle and powerful. It's the silence that creates, not the shouting. It's the quiet knowing, not the emotional hoping. This is why the stillness practice we explored earlier is so essential. In that silence, you access a different dimension of consciousness, one that's directly connected to the creative source within you. Think about it this way. When you're absolutely certain of something, you don't need to shout it or repeatedly affirm it. You simply know it quietly and completely. This quality of quiet certainty is far more powerful than emotional intensity, because it doesn't contain any contradictory energy of doubt or separation. It's pure, aligned, and complete in itself. This is why the creative unfolding journey ultimately leads to silence rather than more words, to knowing rather than hoping, to recognition rather than creation. The silent knowing my nature is aligned with riches and provision, creates from a completely different dimension than the emotionally charged affirmation, I will become riches and provisiony. The first speaks from the center of creation. The second speaks from separation. The mind-bending revelation here is that reality responds not to the volume of your requests, but to the depth of your knowing. Not to how badly you want something, but to how completely you recognize it as already yours at the level of identity. This shifts the entire foundation of creative unfolding from doing to being, from becoming to remembering. If you're feeling a shift from effort to recognition in your own creative unfolding journey, write in the comments, "My knowing creates more than my wanting." This insight can transform your entire approach to creating the riches and provision you desire. Now let's explore what might be the most profound shift in this entire journey. The moment when you no longer imagine the divine creative force as something distant or separate from you. This transformation in perspective changes everything about how you engage with creative unfolding. Most spiritual traditions have taught us to look upward or outward for the divine, to imagine the infinite source as a distant being watching from above, separate from our human experience. This perspective, while comforting in some ways, creates an inherent sense of separation that undermines our creative power. It positions us as small humans, trying to communicate with a vast external power, rather than expressions of that power itself. The revelation a wise spiritual teacher once revealed shared near the end of her life completely dissolves this separation. When you recognize that the I within you is the infinite source, you experience a profound homecoming. You're no longer reaching across a cosmic divide. You're speaking from the unity that has always existed beneath the illusion of separation. This shift in perspective is not just a nice spiritual idea. It's a complete revolution in how you engage with reality creation. When you speak from separation, your words carry the energy of request, of petition, of hoping to be heard by something greater than yourself. But when you speak from unity, your words carry the energy of declaration, of knowing, of creating from the center, rather than reaching from the periphery. Think about how differently my nature is aligned with riches and provision lands when spoken from these two different perspectives. From separation, it feels like an affirmation you're using to convince yourself of something you hope is true. From unity, it feels like a recognition of your divine design, spoken with the quiet authority of the co-creator with the divine itself. The beautiful thing about this shift is that it doesn't require years of spiritual practice or complex metaphysical understanding. It can happen in an instant through a simple willingness to consider a different perspective. And you can facilitate this shift through a remarkably simple daily practice. Set aside just 5 minutes each day to sit in stillness. That's all it takes. 5 minutes of undistracted presence. Find a quiet space. Turn off your devices and simply be with yourself. Allow your body to relax and your breathing to find its natural rhythm. Then, without forcing or straining, let the phrase, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision," arise naturally in your awareness. Don't try to generate emotions around it. Don't visualize what it might mean in your life. Just let the words emerge and resonate through your being like ripples spreading across still water. In that quiet space, you might begin to feel the subtle shift from separation to unity, from hoping to knowing, from becoming to remembering. What makes this practice so accessible is that it doesn't require any special skills or lengthy time commitment. Just 5 minutes of stillness can create an opening, a doorway through which this profound shift in perspective can begin to occur. And from that shifted perspective, everything about your relationship with riches and provision and prosperity begins to transform. If you're feeling a resonance with this idea of speaking from unity rather than separation, I speak from oneness. This recognition can be the catalyst for a completely new relationship with creative unfolding. Now let's explore the third profound revelation in a wise spiritual teacher once revealed's teaching. A principle that transforms your relationship with language itself. Once you recognize the creative power of your "I exist" as statements, you begin to realize that every word you attach to your identity carries tremendous creative weight. This isn't just a matter of positive thinking. It's about aligning your speech with the truth of who you are at the deepest level. This revelation creates a powerful filter for your daily language. Attach only truth to who you are. This means becoming acutely aware of how you describe yourself, your circumstances, and your relationship with riches and provision. Your words aren't just describing your reality, they're creating it. Each statement that follows, "I exist as," isn't just commentary. It's a blueprint for creative unfolding. Let's examine one of the most common phrases people use when talking about their financial aspirations. "I want to be financially free." On the surface, this seems like a positive statement. You're expressing your desire for financial freedom. But look more closely at the energy beneath these words. The statement, "I want," automatically confirms that you don't currently have what you're seeking. It places financial freedom outside of you, in some future state that you're trying to reach. Every time you say, "I want," you're unconsciously reinforcing the absence of what you desire. You're creating an energetic pattern of lack and separation, the very pattern you're trying to overcome. This is the hidden sabotage within most creative unfolding practices. The language of wanting keeps you perpetually in a state of not having. The mindset transformation occurs when you shift from "I want to be financially free" to "My nature is aligned with riches and provision." Notice the profound difference in these statements. The first comes from lack. The second comes from fullness. The first reaches for something external. The second recognizes something internal. The first creates separation. The second acknowledges unity. This isn't about denying your current financial circumstances or engaging in delusional thinking. It's about speaking from your deepest identity rather than your temporary experience. Your bank account may not yet reflect prosperity, but your essential nature is already aligned with it. Speaking from that essential nature is what allows your external circumstances to realign with this truth. This shift in language patterns represents one of the most practical applications of a wise spiritual teacher once revealed's teaching. It's not just a spiritual concept, it's a daily practice of mindful speech. Every time you catch yourself saying "I want," "I hope," or "I wish," you have an opportunity to realign your language with the truth of who you are. The journey of transformation begins with this simple but profound decision: to speak as if you are already what you desire to be, not as a technique or a trick, but as a recognition of what's already true at the level of your divine design. This decision alone can completely revolutionize your relationship with prosperity. If you're beginning to notice how often your language has been reinforcing lack, rather than acknowledging fullness, my words create my reality. This awareness is the first step toward profound transformation. Now, let's explore a revolutionary perspective that completely reframes your understanding of human purpose. What if you weren't designed to want things? What if the state of wanting, of desiring something you don't have, isn't your natural condition at all? This insight from Florence Scovel Shinn's later teachings challenges everything we've been conditioned to believe about creative unfolding and desire. Most spiritual traditions and creative unfolding teachings position wanting as the starting point of creation. First, you identify what you want. Then, you work to attract it through various techniques and practices. But what if this entire approach is built on a misunderstanding of your true nature and creative capacity? A wise spiritual teacher once revealed discovered that you weren't designed to want. You were designed to declare. The state of wanting keeps you perpetually in separation from what you desire. But declaration, speaking from the authority of your divine identity, bridges that separation instantly. It doesn't create a bridge to what you want. It collapses the entire concept of distance between you and your desires. When you shift from wanting to declaring, you're not just changing your words. You're changing your entire foundation. You're moving from the shaky ground of human desire to the solid bedrock of divine identity. This isn't a semantic trick or a psychological technique. It's a fundamental realignment with your creative nature. This shift illuminates another common pattern that keeps people trapped in separation: the language of hope. Consider how often you say things like, "I hope things improve," or "I hope my finances get better." Hope seems positive on the surface. It's forward, looking and optimistic. But look deeper at the energy beneath hope. Hope lives in uncertainty. It contains within it the possibility that what you desire might not happen. It keeps you suspended in the limbo of maybe, perpetually looking toward a future that might or might not arrive. The transformation happens when you shift from "I hope things improve" to riches and provision is my structure. The first statement places financial improvement in an uncertain future. The second acknowledges prosperity as your current design. The first speaks from time. The second speaks from timelessness. This is a crucial distinction because in the realm of spirit, the realm from which all creation flows, there is only now. There is no future to reach toward or past to overcome. There is only the eternal present in which all possibilities already exist. This timeless perspective changes how you engage with creative unfolding entirely. You're no longer trying to pull a future possibility into your present reality. You're simply aligning your awareness with what's already true in the eternal now. This alignment doesn't happen through effort or technique. It happens through recognition and declaration. The journey from hope to knowing represents one of the most powerful transformations on your prosperity path. Hope keeps you tethered to uncertainty. Knowing anchors you in truth. Hope looks to the future. Knowing lives in the now. Hope wishes. Knowing declares, and it's in that declaration riches and provision is my structure that your reality begins to rearrange itself around your recognized identity. If you're beginning to feel the power of declaring from identity, rather than hoping from uncertainty, write in the comments, I declare from knowing, not from hoping. This shift in perspective can transform your entire relationship with prosperity. Let's explore another common language pattern that keeps people trapped in the energy of separation. The phrase, I wish I felt supported. This seemingly innocent statement appears in countless conversations about finances, relationships, and life circumstances. But like the other patterns we've examined, it contains a hidden assumption that undermines your creative power. When you say, I wish I felt supported, you're unconsciously reinforcing the belief that support is something external to you, something you lack and need to acquire from outside yourself. This statement positions you as disconnected from the very support you're seeking, creating an energetic barrier that blocks its recognition. The breakthrough happens when you shift from, I wish I felt supported to, I'm already supported. This isn't just a matter of positive thinking or affirmation. It's a recognition of what's already true at the deepest level of reality. Support isn't something you need to chase or attract. It's something you need to recognize as already present in your experience. This perspective shift represents a profound revolution in how you relate to prosperity and provision. The world isn't structured as a place of scarcity where you must compete for limited resources. At its core, it's a field of infinite possibility designed to support your expression and expansion. This support isn't conditional or temporary. It's built into the very fabric of reality. When you declare, I'm already supported, you're not trying to create a new reality. You're acknowledging what's already true, beneath the appearance of limitation. You're speaking from the recognition of your inseparable connection to the source of all prosperity. This declaration doesn't change reality. It aligns you with a deeper dimension of reality that's always been present. This brings us to a crucial understanding about the nature of these declarations. You're not speaking these words to make something happen. You're speaking them because they're already true at the level of essence, even if they're not yet fully expressed in your visible circumstances. This distinction completely transforms the energy behind your words. Most creative unfolding approaches position affirmations as tools to create change, to transform your current reality into something different. But a wise spiritual teacher, once revealed, discovered that true transformation happens not through creating something new, but through recognizing what's already true at the level of essence. Your declarations aren't creating prosperity. They're acknowledging the prosperity that already exists as your natural state. When you make declarations from this place of recognition, rather than creation, something remarkable begins to happen. Your outer world begins to rearrange itself to match your inner truth. This isn't magical thinking. It's a reflection of how reality actually functions. What you hold as true at the deepest level of consciousness becomes the blueprint from which your visible reality is constructed. The outer world, what Florence called the shadow, must ultimately conform to the inner reality of your consciousness. Not because you're forcing it to change, but because it has no choice but to reflect what you know to be true at the core of your being. Your environment is not separate from you. It's an extension, an expression of your consciousness. If you're beginning to recognize how your language has been reinforcing separation rather than acknowledging unity, I speak from what's already true. This recognition can completely transform your relationship with creative unfolding. One of the most powerful statements Florence Scovel Shinn ever made about creative unfolding was this: claim yourself to be that which you desire to be. Do it quietly, and your claim will harden into fact. This single sentence contains a complete blueprint for effective reality creation that contradicts most popular creative, unfolding approaches. Notice the profound wisdom embedded in these words. First, she instructs us to claim yourself to be rather than to wish, hope, or work toward becoming. This positions the act of claiming as the primary creative mechanism, not visualization, not affirmation, not action. The claiming itself is the creative act. But even more revealing is the second part of her instruction: do it quietly. This completely contradicts the high-energy, emotionally charged approach that characterizes most creative unfolding practices. Florence discovered that quietness, not emotional intensity, is the most powerful creative state. When you claim something quietly, you're operating from a place of such complete certainty that no emotional amplification is needed. You're not trying to convince yourself or the universe of anything. You're simply acknowledging what's already true at the level of essence. And finally, she reveals the natural outcome of this quiet claiming. Your claim will harden into fact. Not might, not could, not should, will. This isn't presented as a possibility, but as an inevitability. The outer world has no choice but to conform to what you have quietly but firmly claimed as your identity. This is the law of consciousness expressing itself with absolute precision. This revelation completely transforms how we approach creative unfolding. You're not here to repeat affirmations hundreds of times, hoping that sheer repetition will eventually convince your subconscious mind or the universe to comply with your wishes. You're here to say the right thing once from identity, from certainty, from stillness. The power lies not in repetition, but in the consciousness from which your declaration emerges. Think about the difference between someone desperately repeating "I exist as riches and provisiony." I exist as riches and provisiony. I exist as riches and provisiony, 100 times with emotional intensity, versus someone quietly stating, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision," once from a place of absolute knowing. The first approach comes from lack and separation. The second comes from fullness and unity. The first is trying to overcome doubt through repetition. The second doesn't contain any doubt to overcome. This distinction reveals a hidden truth about creative unfolding. One declaration spoken from the consciousness of unity carries more creative power than 1,000 affirmations spoken from the consciousness of separation. It's not about how many times you say something. It's about the level of consciousness from which you speak. One quiet claiming from the center of creation outweighs years of affirmations from the periphery of wanting. If you're realizing that the quality of your consciousness matters more than the quantity of your affirmations, one quiet claiming is enough. This recognition can transform your entire approach to creative unfolding. Now let's explore the fourth profound revelation in a wise spiritual teacher once revealed's teaching, a principle that extends your creative unfolding practice beyond dedicated quiet time into every moment of your daily life. Once you've made your declaration, once you've quietly claimed, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision from the consciousness of unity," your task shifts from speaking to living. You move through your day, not as someone waiting for riches and provision to arrive, but as someone who has already spoken the truth and is now watching it unfold. This represents a complete paradigm shift in how most people approach creative unfolding. The typical approach involves making declarations or visualizing desired outcomes and then anxiously waiting for signs that it's working. There's a constant checking, a persistent doubt that requires continual reassurance. But Florence discovered that true creative unfolding happens not through this anxious monitoring, but through calm, confident living from what's already been declared. When you move through your day from the quiet certainty that you've already spoken the truth, your entire demeanor changes. You're no longer trying to make something happen. You're allowing what's already been set in motion to unfold naturally. You're not waiting for evidence. You're living from the recognition that has already occurred within you. This shift from waiting to living, from monitoring to embodying, transforms the entire creative, unfolding journey from effort to grace. The remarkable thing about this approach is how it infuses even your smallest daily moments with profound creative power. When you walk from identity, when you move through life as someone who is built for riches and provision, rather than someone trying to become riches and provisiony, even your most ordinary actions carry weight and meaning. The way you check your bank balance, the way you pay a bill, the way you respond to an unexpected expense, all these seemingly insignificant moments become opportunities to embody the truth you've declared. Think about how differently you would approach these mundane financial activities if you were truly living from the identity of someone built for riches and provision. You wouldn't check your account with anxiety or dread. You'd check it with calm certainty. You wouldn't pay bills with resentment or fear. You'd pay them with gratitude for the exchange of value. You wouldn't react to unexpected expenses with panic. You'd respond with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that provision is their natural state. This embodiment in everyday moments creates a profound coherence in your energy field. Instead of declaring prosperity for 5 minutes and then living from scarcity the rest of the day, you're maintaining a consistent vibration of prosperity in every interaction with money and resources. This coherence is what allows your outer world to rearrange itself most efficiently to match your inner knowing. The journey of transformation happens not just in dedicated meditation time, but in these 1,000 tiny moments throughout your day, in how you speak about money, how you think about opportunities, how you respond to challenges. Each of these moments becomes an opportunity to reaffirm the truth you've already declared, not through repetitive affirmations, but through aligned living. If you're beginning to see how your daily moments can become opportunities for embodiment rather than obstacles to overcome, I live from what I've declared. This perspective shift can transform your entire relationship with the creative unfolding process. Let's explore a crucial distinction that separates a wise spiritual teacher once revealed's approach from many modern creative unfolding techniques. What she discovered isn't about psychological tricks or pretending to be something you're not. It's not about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts despite contradictory evidence or convincing your brain to believe something that feels untrue to you. This isn't about self-deception or mental gymnastics. It's about recognizing and walking in what's already true at the deepest level of your being. This distinction is vital because it completely transforms the energy behind your creative unfolding practice. When you're pretending or trying to trick your brain into believing something, there's an underlying resistance, a part of you that knows you're engaging in a performance, rather than expressing authentic truth. This creates an internal conflict that actually blocks creative unfolding rather than facilitating it. The breakthrough comes when you shift from pretending to recognizing, from performance to authenticity. You're not trying to convince yourself that you're riches and provision-y when all external evidence suggests otherwise. You're recognizing that beneath the temporary circumstances of your life, at the level of your divine design, you are built for riches and provision. This isn't delusion. It's discernment. It's seeing beyond appearances to the deeper reality that underlies them. This authentic embodiment creates a completely different energetic signature than psychological techniques. Instead of projecting a fragile facade that constantly requires maintenance and reinforcement, you're expressing a solid truth that needs no defense or protection. This is why authentic embodiment feels peaceful and grounded, while pretense feels strained and exhausting. This understanding reshapes our entire concept of faith. Florence Scovel Shinn defined faith not as blind belief, but as loyalty to the unseen reality. This definition completely transforms how we approach the creative unfolding journey. Faith isn't about convincing yourself to believe in something despite all evidence to the contrary. It's about remaining loyal to what you've recognized as true at the level of essence, even when temporary appearances suggest otherwise. Your task isn't to generate faith through effort or repetition. Your task is to be loyal to what you've already declared, to stand firmly in the truth you've recognized, regardless of what your senses might be reporting in the moment. This loyalty isn't based on wishful thinking or desperation. It's based on the quiet recognition that what you see with your physical eyes is not the complete picture, that there's a deeper reality your spiritual eyes have glimpsed that is more real and more permanent than temporary circumstances. This loyalty shows up in how you respond when doubt arises, not by panicking or redoubling your affirmation efforts, but by gently returning to the truth you've already recognized. It shows up in how you interpret challenges, not as evidence that creative unfolding isn't working, but as the natural rearrangement process that must occur as your outer world aligns with your inner truth. It shows up in your daily decisions, not as anxiety-driven reactions, but as calm expressions of your declared identity. If this distinction between authentic embodiment and psychological technique is illuminating something for you, I stand in truth, not technique. This recognition can transform your entire approach to the creative unfolding journey. Now let's explore the fifth, and perhaps most transformative revelation in Florence Scovel Shinn's teaching, a principle that completely reframes how we understand the timing of creative unfolding. Most people believe that their desired reality becomes real when they finally see evidence of it in their external world. But Florence discovered something far more profound. Your new identity became real the moment you assumed it, not the moment it showed up in your visible circumstances. This revelation creates a complete paradigm shift in how you relate to the creative unfolding process. Instead of anxiously waiting for external validation of your internal shift, you rest in the quiet certainty that the transformation has already occurred at the level of essence. Your visible reality hasn't caught up yet. But that doesn't diminish the truth of what's already changed within you. Think of it like changing your pose in front of a mirror. The moment you shift your position, the change has already occurred in you, but there's a brief delay before the reflection shows the new position. This doesn't mean the change hasn't happened. It simply means there's a natural lag between your movement and the mirror's response. your outer world functions the same way. It's a reflection of your consciousness, but it reflects with a delay. Understanding this principle of divine timing transforms how you navigate the period between internal recognition and external creative unfolding. Instead of spending this time in doubt, anxiety, or compulsive checking for evidence, you move through it with calm certainty, knowing that the outer must eventually conform to the inner. This is what Florence called the bridge of incidents, the natural sequence of events that must unfold as your reality rearranges itself around your new identity. The most common mistake people make during this bridge period is what gardeners call digging up the seed. They plant the seed of their new identity through declaration, but then they keep digging it up to check if it's growing yet. They chase signs, look for evidence, and beg the universe for updates, all of which actually interferes with the natural creative unfolding process rather than facilitating it. When you declare, "My nature is aligned with riches and provision from the consciousness of unity," you've already planted the perfect seed. Your task isn't to monitor its growth or accelerate its development through worry or effort. Your task is to trust the infallible process that's already in motion, to water it with your continued loyalty to what you've continued to live and declared, to nourish it with your consistent embodiment, and then to let nature take its course. This doesn't mean you become passive or disengaged from your financial life. It means you continue taking inspired action, making 726 decisions, and engaging with money matters, but you do so from your declared identity, rather than from 732 anxiety about results. You're not acting to make something happen. You're acting 737 from what's already happened within you. The journey between internal recognition, 742, and external creative unfolding becomes a sacred passage, not a frustrating delay, 748, but a meaningful transition that's unfolding with perfect timing. You don't need to rush it, force it, or constantly 755 check on its progress. You simply need to remain loyal to what you've already claimed as true about yourself, C102, regardless of what temporary appearances might suggest. If this understanding of Eno 8 divine timing is illuminating something for you, I trust the perfect timing. This perspective can D15 transform your entire relationship with the creative unfolding process. Let's explore N21, this powerful mirror metaphor, more deeply as it reveals a profound truth about the relationship between your D127 inner and outer reality. Your visible circumstances aren't creating your experience, they're reflecting it. Just N35 as a mirror doesn't create your appearance, but simply shows it back to you. The crucial difference is that 1042, while a physical mirror reflects instantly, the mirror of creative unfolding reflects with a natural delay. This 849 delay isn't a flaw in the system or an indication that something's wrong. It's 155, simply part of how the creative unfolding process unfolds in the dimension of time and space. The moment you truly embody a 703 new identity within your consciousness, the change has already occurred at the causal level. The visible reflection of 909 that change requires time to materialize, not because the process is 15 inefficient, but because rearrangement in the physical dimension follows natural laws and timing. Understanding 722, this mirror relationship transforms how you interpret the gap between your inner shift and its outer reflection. This 929 isn't a waiting period filled with doubt and anxiety. It's a sacred unfolding that you can witness with curiosity and 737 appreciation. You're not waiting for something to happen. You're watching something that's already happened at the 744 causal level gradually reveal itself in the visible realm. This understanding 749 nurtures a profound patience that most people on the creative unfolding journey never develop. The version of you that 156 truly knows you're built for riches and provision doesn't flinch when things take time to show up. This isn't the forced patience I02 of someone gritting their teeth and enduring a delay. It's the natural patience that comes from certainty. The CO9 same kind of patience you have when waiting for water to boil. You don't stand over the pot questioning whether 116 the water will ever boil. You know with absolute certainty that it will given 22 sufficient time and heat. This is the quality of patience that emerges when you've truly embodied your identity as Dine 29, someone built for riches and provision. You don't panic when circumstances temporarily contradict your declaration. You don't 736 doubt the process when creative unfolding seems delayed. You don't frantically check for evidence or signs. You simply 1043 continue living from your declared identity with unwavering confidence, knowing that the outer must eventually 150 conform to the inner. This patience isn't passive resignation. It's active 155 certainty. It doesn't come from forcing yourself to wait or convincing yourself to be patient. It flows naturally from thines 103 you're unshakable, knowing that what you've declared is already true at the level of essence, even if temporary appearances 710 suggest otherwise. This is the hallmark of someone who has truly internalized a wise spiritual teacher once revealed's teaching. 717. They're no longer frantically trying to manifest something. They're calmly 722 expressing what's already true within them. The journey from anxious monitoring to confident certainty I-29 represents one of the most profound transformations on the path of creative unfolding. It's a shift from 735 constantly looking outside yourself for validation to resting in the quiet, knowing that resides within you. A 742 knowing that remains undisturbed by temporary appearances or seeming delays. If you recognize this quality of natural 150 patience beginning to emerge within you, I exist as certain of 755 what I've declared. This confidence is the hallmark of someone who truly understands the mirror relationship 701 between inner and outer reality. Now, let's explore a profound truth about the nature of authentic faith that I-108 completely transforms how we approach the creative unfolding journey. Most people think of faith as something fragile and 715 tentative, a hopeful belief that requires constant reinforcement and reassurance. They're constantly looking 722 for signs, seeking validation, and needing evidence that their faith is working. But a wise spiritual teacher once revealed something far more powerful. True faith walks quietly and calmly. 733 already sure of what it knows. This quality of quiet certainty is the hallmark of someone who has truly 39 embodied their divine identity. They don't need external confirmation or visible proof because they're operating 746 from an internal, knowing that transcends physical evidence. Their certainty 752 doesn't come from what they can see with their physical eyes, but from what they recognize with their spiritual 757 perception. Think about how differently this kind of faith navigates the creative unfolding journey. Instead of scene 04, frantically checking for results or questioning whether the process is working, it simply continues walking 710 forward with steady confidence, allowing the world to catch up to what has already occurred at the level of 116 consciousness. This isn't blind faith or wishful thinking. It's grounded 722 certainty based on a profound understanding of how reality actually functions. The journey of transformation Dine 30 happens in that quiet space where you no longer need constant reassurance, because Dine 35, you've touched something timeless within yourself, a knowing that remains unshaken by temporary appearances or 141 seeming delays. This is the revelation that completely revolutionizes your relationship with creative unfolding. The 748 moment, you truly change your conception of yourself. You've already changed 753 everything, even if your visible world hasn't yet caught up. Florence Scovel Shinn captured this profound truth in one of her most powerful statements. Change CO4 your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Notice the word automatically 711 here. Not possibly, not hopefully, not eventually, but automatically. This 716 isn't presented as a possibility, but as a law of consciousness that operates with absolute precision, and 723 inevitability. This statement contains the entire blueprint for effective creative unfolding. 730 it positions identity transformation as the primary creative act. Not 735 visualization. Not affirmation, not action. The moment you truly change your 1041 conception of yourself at the deepest level, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around that new 148 conception. Not because you're forcing it to change, but because your outer world is an extension and expression of 756 your consciousness. The breakthrough comes when you realize that you're not waiting for the world to change. So that Psi 103, you can finally see yourself differently. You're changing how you see yourself, and then allowing the world to 2010 reflect that change back to you. This reverses the entire direction of transformation from outside in to inside 17 out. You're not dependent on circumstances to validate your identity. 722 your identity is reshaping your circumstances from the inside out. If you're beginning to feel a shift in how 729 you understand the relationship between identity and reality, write in the 734 comments, I change my world by changing myself. This recognition places the 940 creative power exactly where it belongs, within your own consciousness. As we 745 come to the end of our journey together, I want you to take a moment and reflect on what's shifted for you. Perhaps 751 you've recognized that the power you've been seeking has always resided within you. Or maybe you've glimpsed how your 958 language creates your reality in ways you never realized before. Whatever CO4 insight resonated most deeply, know that this recognition is just the beginning 909 of a profound transformation. If this message found its way to you today, it wasn't by accident. There's something 716 within you that's ready to step into this truth, ready to stop chasing riches and provision, and start embodying it. The very fact, 24, that you've stayed with me until this point suggests you're one of the few who's prepared to move beyond technique 730 and into authentic embodiment. I'd love to continue this journey with you. If 735 these ideas have sparked something within you, to this channel. Not because I'm asking, but because 941 something in you recognizes that these truths are what you've been searching for all along. This isn't about 948 gathering followers. It's about creating a community of people who understand that real transformation happens from 755 the inside out. If this message resonated with your soul today, saying, I exist as the co-creator with the divine, not 703 the seeker. This simple declaration can be the first step in reclaiming your C109 creative power. And if you found value in what we explored together, a simple like lets me know that these teachings 716 are finding the people they're meant to reach. It's a quiet acknowledgement of our shared journey. 722 find another video that takes these principles even deeper, exploring how this same approach can transform not 729 just your finances, but every area of your life. There as we 35 continue unfolding these timeless truths together, remember, you weren't designed 741 to want, you were designed to declare, and in that quiet declaration, your 946 world begins to change.